Welcome back to practice. Today's flow class is going to be opening for the front of the body in preparation to get into back bends. You'll want a yoga strap and 2 yoga blocks, and you can begin your practice lying down on your back. And we'll do a scan. We'll do a scan of a few things. So the first is like physical form. So just tapping into what does it feel like to be in your body this morning? And so you might start at the toes and work your way up, or start at the head and work your way down. Or maybe you woke up and you already have a sense of what it feels like to be in your body this morning. But it's a worthy check-in question. And as you're feeling into places that feel tight or tender, to an energy level that feels like high, low, medium, see if you can just notice these things without like a passing judgment or making them wrong. And then in the next scan, you're scanning into like emotion, like feeling tone. And it's a whole spectrum: happy, joyous, free, melancholy, angry, resentful, neutral. So tapping into that. Well, how am I emotionally feeling today? And then this third scan, the third layer, the spiritual self. Are you feeling connected? Maybe you're in like a spiritual desert right now. Or somewhere in between. And again, none of this with judgment, it's just a noticing. And can you give yourself permission to, for the next hour or so, just lay it all down? And so you give yourself the space and the time to practice with a bit of lightness, with a sense of more freedom. And it's not ignoring the things, it's just setting them down for a while, the weight of them. Keep your eyes closed, bend your knees so your feet are grounded and you can feel that connection of the soles of your feet with the floor underneath you. And keep your eyes closed, bring your arms and wrap them around yourself. So you're giving yourself a bit of an embrace. You might walk the fingers towards that inner border of your shoulder blades. And so we're opening the back of the body, but really opening back side of heart. And breathing into that place. And keeping eyes closed, take whatever arm is over the top and switch it. So hugging yourself, just a different cross. Still with the focus on upper back. Still with this idea of widening backside of heart. And set your arms free and lay them by your sides with your palms facing down. You can allow your eyes to open here. And then start to just tick-tock your pelvis. So it'll feel like you're doing like baby cat-cow with just the hips. So there's that pressing of the sacrum into the ground, and then there's the lifting of the sacrum away from the floor. And can you start to invite your lumbar spine into this cat-cow? So we're moving a little higher up. And can you start to make the tuck or the scoop of the pubic bone towards the chest a little more dramatic while at the same time pressing into the feet, so you're actually lifting your hips a bit off the floor and then letting them come back down as you arch the back away from the ground. And so what we're getting towards is a rolling up into bridge. So you can start to let the movement get a little bigger. Feel some activation in your backside. Let your hips start to lift a little higher. More of your spine peeling up off the ground. Start to add arms pushing into the floor to help that effort of peeling the spine up and then articulating it down. And then can you find more of a great lift so that when you rise up with your hips, the back of the head and the shoulder blades are on the ground, but the lower parts of your spine are all the way lifted. And bring your hips then as high as you're comfortable doing so. So kind of rolling the spine up off the floor. And then raise the arms overhead, palms facing in. And keep your hips high. Take a breath in, tap your thumbs over your head to the ground above you. And exhale, bring the arms back up to vertical. Do this a few times. So we're keeping the spine lifted and the thighs long. And just moving the shoulders through this little range of motion overhead. And then back extending forward. And take the thumbs overhead, tap them down, lift the hips a little higher. Take a deep breath in, reach your knees away from your fingers. And exhale, slowly lower to the ground with the hips and the arms. And take right arm overhead, roll on to your right side. From there, find your way up to hands and knees pose. And start with lining up, follow the rules. And then let's break them, shall we? Walk over to the right. So we're side bending. Side bending and then adding in cow-cat. So it's a bigger movement of the spine than we had when we were laying on our back because the spine is free. It's unhindered by the floor. Find this rounding and then bring it back to neutral, back to center, and now you're going off to the left. So crescent moon shape of the spine as you cat-cow over in this direction. Finding your way from this rounded position off to the left, then back to following the rules. Take a moment, pause, nose pointing down. Draw the front ribs in a bit and actively lengthen from the very back of your skull down through your tailbone, sitting bones. Kind of like you're stretching the spine. And having opened up through the side body, send breath into the sides of the body. And keep the spine as it is so it stays long. And take your right leg out to the side. Sole of the foot is down, toes are pointing in the direction of the hands. And then start to pivot on your right heel. Turn your toes to point up to the ceiling. And then pivot so you're back to planting the foot. So we've got some ankle movement happening here, coupled with this movement into external rotation in that right thigh bone or that right hip crease. Laying the foot back to the floor, come up to half kneeling. So right leg is out to the side, left knee is under the hip. Slide the right arm down, right leg, left arm up over, side bend to the right. So gate pose. And from gate, from the side bend, start to twist a little, like turn your chest towards that right leg that's extended out. And go back to chest facing forward. So we're just working the spine a little here. One side of the body is quite long. The right side is short. Adding that rotation with that crescent moon shape of the spine. Come back to vertical reach with the left arm. Come forward back to tabletop. So it's right knee under right hip. Switch over to the left side and start with that orientation, spinning on your heel, toes up, foot down. Go back to finding all that length from back of skull to tailbone, sit bones. Landing the foot, come up to the half kneeling. And then glide left hand down, left thigh, right arm up overhead, side bend. Take a breath or two right here. Into the gate posture. And add rotation. You could make it big, you could make it tiny. Right? So feeling in. Opening chest to sky, pivoting chest towards left leg. You can think of it as like a swiveling of your rib cage as well. Coming back to side bend, vertical reach through right arm. Touch down with the hands, step the left knee under the left hip. And then sit back on your heels, or you can sit back on a block and grab your strap. We're going to go right into a little bit of work with the strap. Hold your strap so that you have your arms at wider than shoulders distance. So think of making a little bit of a V with your arms. And then take the strap in front of you and the strap behind you. And you might need to open up the arms a little wider. And you could go like just above head or a little behind head. And I know some of you can go up and back behind you. You're welcome to go there. So it becomes more like a circling. Yes, shoulder mobility. And yes, to opening up through the pecs, the chest. And you may take that strap overhead and add some bending to the side, like a little crescenting along the same lines of what we've been doing thus far. You might add some rotation, trying to pull the edges of your strap far apart from each other and adding some twisting. And do one more up and back as far as you're going. And then one more up and over, back into the front plane. And place your strap off to the side. And then into our first downward dog. Set the hands. Feel the length of side body, tuck toes, raise hips. In your down dog, consider growing your feet longer. So it's like the toes reach towards the wrists and the heels reach back towards the back edge of your yoga mat. Firm the triceps towards the floor. Feel shoulder blades on the back of your rib cage. And take breath all the way in. Use exhale to walk up, feet to hands. When you get there, hands to hips, elbows up. Lift halfway, crown of head reaching away from sitting bones. Push feet, lift all the way to standing. Bring hands together at the center, front of heart instead of back of heart. Again, come back to that feeling of your feet connected to the surface of your yoga mat. Right? This idea of presence. We're here now. And close eyes, we'll chant once the sound of the Om. Exhale everything. And take breath all the way in. Release the arms, allow your eyes to open. Surya Namaskar A. Exhale all of your breath. And then inhale, raise the arms, side body long, lift the eyes. Exhale, cast yourself out and over and down into forward bends. Inhale, lengthen back of skull away from sit bones. Exhale, step to plank, then keep exhaling and lower down. So the exhale has gravity to it. You can come all the way to the floor on the first one. Cobra, push the hands away. Inhale, lift. Tone the legs. Exhale, tuck toes, raise the hips back to downward dog. Grow your feet long. Your toes reaching towards front of mat, heels reaching towards back of mat. Upper arms are firm towards the floor. And feel the length of your limbs and lengthen your breath in a way that matches that effort of lengthening the limbs. And take breath all the way in. As you exhale, bend knees so hips go down towards heels. Look forward. Inhale, step or lightly jump, feet to hands. Keep inhaling, lengthen, base of skull away from sitting bones. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, press into the soles of the feet and reach. Exhale, arms releasing back, Tadasana. Again, inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, step back, lower. Inhale, cobra, or you might have chosen up dog by now. Exhale, hips fold back, down dog. Feet grow, upper arms firm, breath elongates. And prepare for the coming forward by breathing in. As you're exhaling, you get low. You bend the knees and look. Inhale, feet go to hands. Keep inhaling, lengthening. Exhale, fold. Presence through the soles of the feet. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, arms release back. And then come into, from this mountain pose, go into hip hinge. Like, actually put your hands in your hip creases. And we're going to practice like casting ourselves forward. So as you inhale, like lengthen. And as you exhale, fold halfway over. Like it's almost like, kind of like you fling yourself into that fold, right? Exhale, halfway forward. Legs can be straight or knees can be bent. Now, fingertips to the ground. It might mean you have to bend your knees to get them there. Shift the weight more into the toes and into the fingers. And then put weight into the left leg. And as you do that, left hip firms in. Right? So instead of kicking out, it actually goes the other way. It holds itself in position. Raise the right leg up and back towards this variation of standing split. And work right leg into the midline and inseam of your pants or your shorts lifting up. So think inner right thigh lifted. Breathe into the length of your limbs. And use exhale, release right foot under right hip. Get centered again in this standing hinged forward fold. Put weight into right leg. Feel how the pelvis goes way out to the right. So now right hip held into position. Float the left leg up and back behind you. And it also holds in to the midline. And the lift is coming from inseam of the left pant. Take breath all the way in. Use exhale to release the left foot under the left hip. You're already on fingertips. Inhale, lengthen even more. Exhale, step back, lower down, chaturanga or knees. Inhale, stretch front body. And exhale, hips back into downward dog. Use breath in and lift the right leg. Float it like long and high. As you exhale, pull the knee under towards your chest and step your right foot forward. Then lower your back knee to the floor. And instead of being like hanging way forward in crescent, come up so you're more in a vertical lunge, right? So that is right hip under right shoulder, left knee under left shoulder. Right hand to right thigh, left arm up. Add a side bend, go up and over. And as you're doing the side bend, think about like wrapping your tailbone down towards that left heel. One more breath. The up and over is the action here. And exhale, touch floor, both hands. Scoot your back knee back, so you're getting into that deeper version of a low crescent lunge, but heel toe your right foot out a little. Right hand inside right foot, left hand under left shoulder, the beginning of lizard lunge. And to start it, can you squeeze your right leg into your right arm, but push your right arm out against your right leg? So rather than just hanging in a very passive stretch, we're adding some action here between arm and leg. And then grab a yoga block. You may need it or you may not, but bring yourself down into a lower version of lizard. So you're laying your forearms to rest on the block on any setting. And if you know you don't need a block for your forearms, then you don't use one. Keep the action of right leg, right hip held in slightly. From here down in your lizard, come up to straight arms once again. Left hand under the left shoulder. Bring the right arm up and then back behind you. So it's reaching towards the back edge of your mat. You can feel this beginning of a quad stretch, and you could stay in this. Or bend your back knee, catch your foot. So it is right hand reaching for pinky toe side of left foot. And you could potentially like pull that left heel in towards your butt, right? And get into the quad. Notice what's happening in belly. So can it be long and strong? So we keep some tone in the front body. Slowly release back foot if you grabbed it. Hands to floor, back knee lifts. Down dog step. If you want to take vinyasa, you can take it here, or you could skip it and hang in down dog. From down dog, left leg, it lifts high, it's long. Left knee underneath, foot between hands, right knee down. Hips shift back a little, so you're coming into that vertical lunge position. Left hand, left thigh, right arm up. Up and over. Right sitting bone under. So there's a bit of stability having to happen here as we lengthen this hip flexor right side. And then like reaching, last breath, up, over, get in there. And touch down both hands. Scoot the right knee back so you're deepening the hips in that forward hanging position, heel toe the left foot out. Left hand inside, left foot, the beginnings of lizard. Arm into leg connection. Right, so it's not a sleeping lizard. And then bringing it down to block, and if you know you didn't need it, you're welcome to come right down onto the forearms. Know that your block could be like tall, medium, or low setting. It's quite adjustable to your needs. Keep the left hip held in. From the depths of your lizard, come back to straight arms. We'll meet there. And right hand's under right shoulder. So do notice this. When you put the weight into your right hand, like push the floor out of the way so you don't have your shoulder high up by your earlobes. It's not like a slouch. It's a resisting gravity. Push the floor away and reach the left arm up. And then reach the left arm back. So fingers are reaching towards back of your yoga mat. The beginnings of thigh stretch, and this may be the end of your thigh stretch. Or you take it opposite hand, pinky toe side of right foot. And you may consider pulling that heel in towards your back body. Again, belly long and strong. So just because we're back bending doesn't mean the front body goes to sleep. Releasing back foot, touch down. Lift your back knee. And then pivot to your right. We're going wide-legged forward fold. Line up your feet so that they are All 10 toes facing the same direction. Hands to hips. Soles of the feet ground. We're present there. Inhale, come up to standing. Exhale here. Breathe in, reach arms horizontal. Exhale, interlace hands behind you. Inhaling, chest and eyes lifting. Exhaling, we fold. It's from the creases of the hips. It's a hip hinge. Head hangs, arms go up and over. Now say clasping your hands is difficult. Sometimes it is, depending. You could always grab the strap and use that between your hands. And it's the working, just like side bending, we went up and over. Same thing's happening with the arms here, up, over. And touch ground with hands. Inhale, lengthen. Base of skull away from thigh bones. Exhale, pivot to front of yoga mat. Step back, downward facing dog pose. From down dog, right leg up. Breathe it up to the sky. Exhale, right foot through. Turn your back foot in and down. Excuse me. And come to warrior one. Don't lose the lunge. Stay in the lunge. Come up to warrior one. Reach. So in the first couple breaths of warrior one, bend your back knee. It's kind of weird. That means your heel's going to lift up. And lengthen your buttocks down. Right? And then can you keep that more vertical pelvis and then push out through the back heel to straighten the leg. And so we get into, rather than a deep back bend in the lower back, we find more vertical. Bring your hands to your hips. Straighten your front leg all the way. Step your back foot in a bit. Setting up pyramid. Rotate pelvis, chin, nose, belly button, chest facing forward. Reach back, hold elbows, or take it into reverse prayer. Fingers can be pointing up or down. And then draw your rib cage back of your heart back. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bow forward. Towards the straight leg, navel turning slightly to the right. Are your feet still long? Right, heels reaching back, toes reaching forward. Are you present with the connection of your feet into the texture of your mat? Use an in-breath to rise up to standing. Keep your hands and arms how you have them, please. Turn your back heel, lift it. Bend your front knee, lean forward. Could you come into warrior three with this arm position? So it's great. Hands in prayer or elbows held behind your back. It gives you the feedback of where to lift your rib cage up into to find that vertical line. And bend the front knee, lay on the back foot back. Release hands to floor. Step back, downward facing dog pose. Option to take a vinyasa or to stay put, to grow the feet long, to wrap the triceps under, and to lengthen your breath like you're lengthening your limbs. Using breath in down dog, left leg lifts high. It's long, it's high. Exhale, left foot through. Keep the lunge, right foot down. Come towards warrior one. And then do the weird adjustment. Back knee bends. Right. Pubic bone up. And then extend through the back heel. So hello psoas, hello hip flexor, right? Reach the heel back, get vertical. Bring hands to hips, straighten front leg. Back foot steps in. Usually it's a footprint that's helpful, right, to shorten the stance. And you're getting centered towards the front. Go back to the prayer or the opposite elbows held. Before you fold, whole front body pushes back, right? It's like a little cat in there. Inhale, lift up. Belly long and strong. Exhale, fold. Navel slightly to the left. Feel your feet. And keeping the arms just like you have them. Root the legs, inhale, come up. Pivot right heel so it's up. Bend left knee so you can feel weight already shifting into front leg. Lean forward, more weight in the front leg, and find that little lift off into warrior three. Inner right thigh lifts, rib cage pulls up into the tactile feedback of your hands or arms back there. And soften the front knee, land the back foot. Unwind the arms, touch ground. Down dog step all the way back. From here, come to hands and knees. And then you'll want your 2 blocks for this next thing. So take your blocks and put them at like shoulders distance apart in front of you. And then place your forearms down onto said blocks. So your hands and your wrists will be hanging off a bit. Walk the knees back so they're a little behind the hips, and then pull your hips back towards your heels. So we've got a hybrid happening of puppy pose and child's pose. Let the hands rest so they're hanging. And firm your arms down into your yoga blocks. Big shoulder opener. And right now we have the, Okay, right now we have the forearms down. I want you to turn the thumb side of your hand up so you're on the outside of your forearm. And do the same work of pressing outer forearm into the ground, letting your chest drop some. Keep the belly long and strong. So what does that mean? It's like, I don't love the navel to spine cue, but it's helpful here. So you could stay with your palms facing in, or you could rotate forearms up. It's super weird. You probably won't be able to go as deep. You might need to lose the blocks, but you could go forearms up, palms up. Stretch the fingers forward, pull the hips back. Feel the shoulder blades wrapped along the outside of your rib cage. One more breath. And shift forward so your hips are over your knees. Take that pressure off of the shoulders. Lose your yoga blocks. And then swing your legs around. Have them in front of you with the soles of your feet grounded at hips distance. Find vertical. So we've been working with this vertical in Tadasana. We worked with it when we were doing the lunging. We did it when we were doing the warrior one. Right? So find vertical. Hold behind your knees. Hinge your entire vertical spine back. Lift your shins up. Zip your legs together so they become one. Right? Stay here, arms reach. Stay there or legs up high diagonal. Play with your toes, not like touching them, but like flare them, right, apart from each other. So I think Jen calls it a floint in the foot. Right? Floint your feet. Navasana. Release the feet to the floor, separate them, holding behind the knees. Do some cat-cow in the lumbar and in the sacrum. So we did this when we were laying down, where we're just nodding and working with pubic bone going forward, sitting bones wrapping under. Pubic bone forward, sitting bones wrapping under. And I want you to feel when you're in the lengthened position, right, where your low back curve isn't rounded, it moves in and up. When you find that place, stay there. And keep the low back curve moving in and up. Start to lean the spine away without losing low back curve in and up. Lift the legs. Don't lose the curve. Zip the legs. Don't lose the curve. Maybe arms go, maybe legs go. So there's a low back divot in and up. Flare the toes. Very good. One more breath. And release. Release your feet to the floor. So now you want your strap. We're going to practice coming into bridge pose, but we're strapping our legs. So when you set up your strap, stick your legs exactly how you would want them for bridge, and then make a loop of your strap around your thighs. So we always grab a block and hold a block in between the legs for bridge, but we're going to try, rather than a squeezing in pattern, a pushing out pattern, which for me has like changed the way that back bends feel in my lower back. So loop your strap. I don't know if you have a buckle or you have a D-ring, but get your thighs to parallel, feet at hips distance. You might have to scoot your butt forward towards your heels and then roll yourself down onto your back. And then start to pull the legs apart. Arms by your side, thumbs up, pinky side of the hand down. Buttocks towards heel, belly long and strong. Push into the feet, lift, lift, lift. As you're lifting, more of your spine is lifting. Then as you drive the arms down, you can walk them in closer together. So that spine that's between the shoulder blades, that lifts up too. Maybe the hands, they clasp. Long thighs, long belly, long buttocks, firm feet. Inhale, heels up, arms up overhead. Exhale and come down. Release the feet to the floor. Arms by your side. Okay, if you want to go to wheel, you're going to use the strap, but you're going to not have it be as tight as it is. So I want you to make room in your tie for your legs to get a little farther apart, because they just do when we go into wheel. It's the nature of what the pelvis needs to do to adjust for the deeper back bend. So you might open up so your knees are more set like shoulders distance apart than thighs parallel at hips distance apart. If you want bridge, you know where you're going, right? If you're taking wheel with this, open the legs out against the strap, bear the feet down into the floor, reach your arms up over your head, bend your elbows, place your hands by your ears. Forearms reach back behind you. Hips lift off the floor. Press into the hands, come to the top of the head. Keep pulling the legs apart. Push the floor out of the way, lift. Urdhva Dhanurasana. Feel the feet, there's presence there. Feel the hands, there's presence there. Continue to pull apart into the boundary of the strap. One more breath wherever you are. And slowly chin to chest if you're in wheel and come down. Bridge, arms overhead, lower the hips and then lower the arms. Take a moment, let your knees fall into each other, releasing the feeling of the bondage of your strap. Bring your hands to your belly. Breathe generously down, down into the belly. And then reach down and slide your strap off of your legs. Place it off to the side. Feet ground, right arm over. Roll to your right side and bring yourself up to seated. From seated, both legs in front of you. Dandasana or staff pose. Find the middle of your sitting bones. So you have the low back curve that moves in and up, just like we were working before that second Navasana. Hands beside the hips. Push down into the hands, lift up through the spine, draw the ribs back, chin towards the chest, and breathe. Can you ground your femur bones into the floor? Now chin parallel to ground. Eyes are at the horizon. Reach the arms, get vertical. Breath in. Casting pattern out, over, and down into Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Find the middle of your sit bones. So sometimes we tend to be way at the front of them here. Middle of the sit bones. Lengthen, fold over. And can you stretch your breath? Elongating it like you're elongating your body right now. Use breath in, lengthen, and exhale, come all the way up. And then fold your right shin underneath you. So that's the top of the foot is down, the heel is outside of your sitting bone. And if you feel way off kilter here, stick a block underneath you, sit up on a yoga block. And then once you have the right leg folded back, take the sole of your left foot against the inside of your right thigh. You could also take the left foot into half lotus. So I know that some of you out there practicing half lotus might come with ease. If that's the case, take that left foot into half lotus. Reach the right arm across to the outside of the left knee. The left arm goes behind your body. If you're in that half lotus, you might choose to grab your big toe with that left hand. Inhale, find up. As you exhale, wrap rib cage, chest, throat, nose, and eyes to the left. So this is called the lightning bolt twist. You're bracing your right hand across the left knee to support the turning. Inhale, eyes forward, and exhale, unwind. If you're in lotus, unhook your lotus. Together, unflip the right shin. Extend the right leg long, left shin flipped underneath you. Sole of right foot into inside of left thigh, or again, half lotus, outer foot into hip crease. Reach across, left hand to right knee. Right arm goes behind. You can rest it against your back, or if you're lotus, you find the toe. Inhale, up. Exhale, you're turning. Belly, rib cage, chest, throat, nose, eyes to the right. Use the hand against the leg for support. To turn. Inhaling, eyes forward. Exhale, unwind. If you're crossed in lotus, unhook. Unflip the left shin. See that you have space to bend your knees. You have space behind you to come down. And you want your strap unhooked, so take the loop out of your strap. Lay down with your left leg long and the strap hooked to the right foot, into the arch of your right foot. Once you have that, climb your right hand high up the strap towards the foot. And practice that external rotation. So we did it very beginning of class on hands and knees where we turned the toes. It was up to the ceiling at that point, but this turning the toes out to the right and then bringing the leg back to neutral. So think toes right, foot right, hip right, and then back. Kind of like a corkscrew of the hip. Go into the toes turned out position, so external all the way up into the hip joint. Take the right arm out to the side, bend the elbow, create like a little bit of a support for your right leg, like a kickstand, and breathe here. And use a bit of inner thigh to zip your leg back to the center. Switch the way you're holding the strap. So right now it's in your right hand. Reach across, hold it with your left hand. Right arm to cactus. Bring the leg across into a twist. Create that kickstand, so left elbow bends. Can you reach the legs? Like reach your right leg across, reach your left leg down, turn your head to the right. And then one final little instruction here. Can you drop your right hip crease? Like try to lengthen the right side of your waist. Bring your head back to center and orient the lower body back to center. Unhook your right foot from said strap. Let the right leg go long. Lift your left leg, hook the left foot. Both sides of the strap held in the left hand, climb up on it and practice the swivel, right? The foot turns out, but the origin of that movement is up inside of your hip. So turning the foot out, bringing it back towards that neutral. And going into the external, toes out to the left, heel into the midline, open the leg out to the side, bend the elbow, create the kickstand. Breathe here. Inner thigh strength zips the leg back to center. Reach across with your right hand to hold the strap. Left arm like cactus. Pull the leg across to the right. So you'll roll up onto your right hip when you do that. Bend the elbow, your second kickstand. Reach right leg long, left leg across. Turn the head left. And then left lengthen, waist lengthens, right? So hip drops. Oh, this is so good. Could be in this one all day. But alas, we can't. Take your head to center and bring your lower body back. Unhook your foot. Let the legs go long. Notice if you got wonky. Are you in the middle of your yoga mat? Can you situate yourself there? And then once you do, bring your knees in towards your chest. Wrap your arms around them, a tender embrace. Move side to side, bringing some, like a pressure massage of kidneys against the floor, spine against the floor, side to side. And then can you keep low back wide and reach up and take hold of the outer feet in happy baby pose. And remember, low back curve moving in and up, it's present here. And if it's not, if your tailbone's all the way up off the floor, hold the back of your thighs instead of the outsides of your feet, so you can let your back settle. And from here, bring it into Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees wide apart. Bring your hands to your belly. Let them rest there. And breathing down into the belly, so underneath your hands you can feel the rise and the fall. Think of expanding three-dimensionally. So where the hands are set and the belly is lifting up into, can you breathe just as spaciously into the back of the belly? As if your hands, you had a second set of them and they were placed back behind you. And then reach hands to outer thighs. Guide your legs back together. Extend right leg long and then left leg long. Let your arms rest. And close the horizon line of your eyes if you haven't yet. And coming into the final pose, this posture of its integration. So all that we've done for the last hour, it's like it synthesizes here. And it gets put into the memory of the body. So that when asked in the future, the body can recollect what it was that it did here this morning. One of the ways that meditation is defined is as recollection. We recollect ourselves. Allow yourself to drop into this posture. And to be supported. And to lay your whole self down. Bringing the light of your awareness back. And shining the light of awareness on soft movement in belly as the breath enters and exits. Moving light of awareness to feet and toes, finding subtle movement there. And then allow for a reaching through arms and extending through legs. And bend your knees one at a time. Roll to your side. And from there, finding your way up to a comfortable seat. And presence. And bringing awareness from breath to palms and joining them together. And may the merits of this practice that we've done here today benefit all beings everywhere. Namaste.